Growing up in Indonesia, so much of our country's history has been obscured from us, and that's what I'm realizing now that I live in the US. We were fed propaganda through movies, through the stories, and we only had one version of the story that we were given, and that's because a lot of people have been silenced.
My name is Katherine Antarikso, and I'm one of the Chronicling Resistance Fellows. My project is researching immigration to the United States from Indonesia. I started to look for evidence of my family. Because we moved to the United States when I was 10 years old, I never got to see my grandfather again. And I really wanted to feel this connection to members of my family. And I found his books online and starting to see what he was writing about. He was writing about education in Indonesia. He was writing about culture in Indonesia. He was writing about politics, and it was really interesting to me because I knew him as my grandfather, but I didn't know his intellectual side. So it's kind of this desire to get to know more of my family and Indonesian history too.
There's this theme that I think runs through many families. We don't know a lot about our own family's histories, let alone our country's history, because there's a hesitation to speak. And it comes from the fear of living in an authoritarian country. Living in that system, it becomes an act of bravery and resistance to tell your story, to be a witness for that time. So I hope that through telling our stories that we can come out of our silence.
I just had this desire to think about, well, what are we as an Indonesian community leaving behind for generations in the future when they come to Philadelphia, just some evidence of us being here, living in Philadelphia. It's so interesting to me because, of course, I grew up in Indonesia and I think it's the greatest and you think you're the center of the universe. But then moving to State College, Pennsylvania, and meeting Americans who have no idea where Indonesia is, you begin to realize that, wow, people don't know about one of the biggest, the most populous countries in the world. I don't know what that says about the American education system or just kind of a lack of desire to get to know the rest of the world, beyond the idea of America as kind of the center of the universe. Looking at United States policy towards Indonesia and if that had anything to do with it. Vietnam factors so much in US history because they were directly involved. But what I'm finding through the readings, talking about the role of the US in what's happened in Indonesia in the 50s and the 60s is very illuminating because perhaps there was a reason why the US doesn't want people to know about their role in Indonesia. Perhaps that's why we're not being talked about in American history. In one hand, I really do believe that there is some truth to the American dream. What's not talked about is all the stuff that comes with the American dream. That dream has a lot of caveats, that it's tied to land theft, that it's tied to colonialism, that it's tied to racism. And that's the part that immigrants don't understand, that we're not told about when we come here. I felt like I was really sold on this idea that, hey, when you come to America, you can be anything that you want, you can do anything, and everybody is equal. And there's truth to that, but it's not 100% true. I think the element of racism is something that's surprising to a lot of immigrants, that we don't understand how deep that history is in this country. If I were to tell people around the world who want to come to America, it would be to tell them the reality of the American dream, that maybe you could still make it here, but it comes at a very heavy price.